Hi, my name's Shoy. Welcome back to this channel. Right now, I am reading Technofeudalism by Yanis Varoufakis. I'm going to take you along my journey reading this and tell you what I think about the ideas and what it might mean for us as humanity, because this is quite an existential book, I think, as you can tell by the subtitle, What Killed Capitalism. It's some kind of big ideas that have really big implications. I don't really know. We're just gonna see how it goes, and I'll share what I think is interesting, and hopefully you find it interesting too. I read a bunch of books about politics to try and learn more so that I can apply it in the actual organizing and social movements that we need. And I want to try making vlogs where I explore some of these ideas in a bit more depth and show you how I'm thinking about it in my personal life or my personal organizing work. So I haven't done that properly yet, and this is my first video where I'm just zeroing in on a kind of topic. But alongside that, I'm just gonna show you my day-to-day life, because I like recording what's going on in my life, and hopefully that will make it feel a bit more grounded and less scary. So yeah, right now I have finished the first 2 chapters in this book, which was a lot of setting the scene. The book is kind of set up with him addressing his father and relating a lot of conversations or concepts he learnt from his father. That includes a lot of analogies to science, which is interesting and doesn't work super well for me personally, because I don't understand a lot of these scientific concepts, or I'm not familiar with them. So it's kind of double whammy of new concepts in one. But anyway, the first chapter was those initial stories, I guess, he heard about capitalism and power and technology. And in the second chapter, he really runs through, I guess, a history of capitalism and how it has evolved, particularly over the last century, I guess. And so now I'm finally at the point where he is introducing this kind of new concept of how the internet has changed our form of capital. I have a lot to digest. I had a lot of questions reading this. I'm discussing it with my housemate Abby as I read. And so I don't have particular thoughts or notes to give you right now. So when I keep reading and come up with some stuff to discuss, I'll come back and share that with you. But yeah, also just to set the scene of what this week is going to look like for me, I'm just at uni. I have mentioned a couple times that I recently quit my job, and so I'm just been studying teaching right now, and I have a few volunteer organizing things that I'm interested in. One of the groups that I organize with is resetting a bunch of strategy, so that is 2 weeks away, when we go away for a retreat to discuss a lot of things around our strategy. So I really want to take lessons from this book to bring into that. So yeah, I'm just gonna show you my day-to-day. You'll get an idea. I hope you enjoy. I'm in my favorite spot under the heated blanket. I have some ambitious plans for the day. The first of which I cancelled. I was meant to get groceries from the market, but it's just a really miserable rainy day. So I was like, everything else I want to do, I can do on a laptop from the couch. I started writing notes from a bunch of books that I read recently, and it's actually taken such a long time because I just read some really good nonfiction books, and so I had a lot to chew over and a lot of quotes to write down. But then I also want to work on an agenda for a kind of workshop. A couple of the books I read were about India, and in particular, the one about India's relationship to Israel and I guess like a military industrial complex. And that's really relevant to the organizing I'm kind of doing with some like South Asian young people here. There's a bunch of us who are interested in like progressive politics from that South Asian perspective. You have to really seek out that knowledge. It's not easily accessible, I think, especially having grown up here. But also a lot of us are following what's happening in Palestine and trying to show up to Palestine solidarity actions and things like that. So I want to take what I've learned from this book to hold like a workshop after one of the big Palestine rallies that's happening every Sunday. It's kind of an idea to like be able to meet people there. Like I'm always noticing when I see brown people in a progressive space and like I want to like go say hi to them and kind of know what their story is, because of that depoliticization of like South Asian communities. Having something to invite them to where we can actually discuss this and not only like process our feelings and what we want to do in solidarity with Palestine, but actually connected to the national narratives and like arms deals and like actual material support of India and the BJP like fascist government to Israel. Like I think that just makes it takes it a little bit deeper, and it makes it something that like we can discuss how these things show up in our lives and our communities, because you know the kind of Islamophobic messaging and increase in like military weapons manufacturing and like we need to protect ourselves by developing our military, like that's not unique to Israel. Yeah, anyway, I am really gone on a tangent about this, which is not the book that I'm technically here to talk about, but there are definitely like connections. Anyway, I just wanted to talk about that because I'm going to work on that today and it's just like something I care about and maybe you'll find it interesting. So yeah, I'm gonna work on that like agenda a little bit and write some notes, but I also want to read a bit more of technofeudalism at some point today. So I think I've finished the chapters of this book that are really like focused on economics and like economic analysis of what has led us to the point we are at now. I have continued to find it challenging, I'm not gonna lie. So I need to actually like write some notes and like discuss it a little bit with Abby, I think. But the next two chapters, I think, are going to go more into the politics. Thanks for listening to my rambles. More to come. Hello, it's the next evening and I haven't filmed much today. I went to see a movie at the International Film Festival that was really emotional and left me with a lot to think about. It was an Indian film and I went with some of the South Asian people that I have met through this organizing, and the story follows two friends. One is Muslim and one is Dalit, and they come from this like rural village in North India, I think, and it kind of looks at how those two specific experiences I guess just face a lot of hardship and marginalization in India. But then in the second half, it kind of looks at their experience as these like migrant factory workers. Like there's a lot of workers in India who have to like move often really far distances to major cities like across the country. Also internationally, like these are the migrant workers that in like parts of the Middle East, like Dubai, and they send like almost all of the money they make back to their families in the villages. Very interesting, but just like shocking condition. I could talk a lot about it, but I'm not going to, because I actually just really recommend watching this movie. It wasn't perfect, like I definitely have some criticism of the first half, but that second section focusing on the like factory worker like experience, not just thinking about that movie, but the movie's based on a real article, which is obviously based on lots of real experiences. So I was just thinking, and have been thinking a lot about the workers in the global south that uphold like the global economy, and especially like create so much of the stuff that we just consume in the West. I think that's just what's been recurring in my head, is like, what is the cost of global capitalism? And I think often I think of things in numbers or in ideas, but to see it in a story, and it's a really beautiful story, because it's like the heart of it is this friendship between these two men, and that was beautiful, and the acting was really fantastic, and their family relationships as well. So just like seeing that story and heart and like humanizing of it is like just a completely different experience. So just been sitting with that today, motivating me to pick up technofeudalism. Like I want to go back into this, asking that question, like if the kind of sweatshop labor and yeah, just the labor of the global south is the cost of global capitalism in its current form. Like, does this kind of argument of how capitalism has changed, does it have a different cost? Like, what is the cost? Alrighty, it's the next morning and I'm going to try to explain what I've learnt so far from technofeudalism. So I think these are the most interesting chapters, chapter 3 and 4, which is about cloud capital and cloudalists. Basically, to access anything on the internet, you need to give it data, and that is, you know, personal data, like your name, your address, like tangible stuff, but it's also like your desires and needs, because obviously like they're tracking what we're interested in, what we're motivated to buy, like what sparks an emotion in us, anger mainly and attention, and the algorithms use that knowledge like to train themselves. It reproduces itself using us as a tool. Like we are the resource it is extracting from to get better and better and increase its ability to influence us. So I think this is where it gets into more familiar territory. Like these are the complaints and like worries about algorithms and the internet. I don't know about you, but I've already like thought about it a lot, and like it's one of the factors that led to me trying to get off social media. Like personally, I've turned off my search history on YouTube, so I only see my subscriptions. I don't get recommended anything and I don't get given shorts. I'm trying to maintain my intentionality of what content I consume, because I know that most things I am being pushed is for a reason, to sell me something. And not just sell me something, it's like it's related to politics. Like that was the whole thing that the people who work at Meta and Facebook just like actively saying that they were influencing Brexit and Trump's election. That's the technological breakthrough, but what was the like complicit political class that like helped it to get there and helped to take over in such a comprehensive way that like, I don't know about you, but like, I don't know how to counter these things. Like governments have tried to hold these companies accountable and they just fail abysmally. So how did that happen? And that's where we go back to the story of capitalism falling apart. I think his argument in this chapter, again, I don't quite understand the ins and outs of the like financial and economic story he's telling, but my takeaway was that the banks post-financial crisis and also during COVID just fucking gave money to big business. They were just like, take it, take our money. He kind of describes it as like the money being toxic. That proves that there's something going fucking wrong, because you shouldn't want to get rid of your money. Money should have value. But what big business did, and specifically, I think he's talking about these like tech billionaires, but also the like conglomerates, they start buying back stocks in their own companies. So they're not producing more value. Like, they're not building more factories or like increasing the production. They're just buying back the value of their own companies. So basically it's concentrating wealth amongst few, is my takeaway from that. And not just wealth, like they're concentrating control. And so then that leads to the big three investment companies, BlackRock, Vanguard, and State Street, to enjoy unprecedented monopoly power over entire sectors, from airlines and banking to energy and Silicon Valley, and a capacity to offer the ultra-rich high returns for very low fees. And that allows the big three to extort rents. So yeah, this goes into like this definition of technofeudalism. Is like the reason that it is feudal and not capitalist is it's based on rent. If I try to give a TLDR of what I've learned from the first 4 chapters of this book, it's that firstly, economics and finance is not separate to human beings, and it's not separate to human beings being stupid and greedy. I guess that makes sense. I feel like that's a point of films like The Big Short or whatever. But the second takeaway is that that hasn't worked. Profit is meant to be driving capitalism and driving like progress. The chase of profits is what's supposed to allow for those technical breakthroughs, more things being produced, and life getting better. And what we've seen over the last 50 years is that just hasn't happened. It has driven the power to a concentrated few, which is currently the billionaire class and these like conglomerate companies that own lots of different little companies and drive out competition. But then the kind of final piece, which was like, I think the most important part for his argument, is that the tech billionaires have produced these algorithms and taken over the internet and forced us all to be dependent on the internet in a way that gives them really absolute power over us and over the economy. And that's why they have this power now. Like, that's why the tech billionaires are in US politics. They are the new political elite, or they're in a position where they can become the new political elite. I think it's already happened, like, or it's in the process of happening. Like, we're seeing it before our eyes. It's not because like Trump did something, like these people are already in that position. So now I want to know what that means for society and the world. I'm just trying to think like why do I think this is important to read? Like, why have I chosen to read this right now? Basically, like, all of the political books I read are in an effort to make my organizing for social change better. If I'm gonna be honest, I think we need a revolution. I think we need to change how we're running the world, because people are suffering and climate change is happening and the earth is also suffering. So it's existential at this point and urgent. I mean, it's existential every day for the people who are dying because of capitalism. That's the emotional heart of it that the movie I watched yesterday reminded me of. Is like, it's always been existential for the people who are getting fucked over by capitalism. But climate change makes it existential to everyone in a way that's a bit different. And that's what radicalized me, was like, we're not going to solve climate change at this rate because capitalism's not going to change overnight. I think the point of understanding this is actually to understand how these systems are influencing our daily lives, because at the end of the day, like, I think the way we're going to create change is from the everyday people. So we need to convince the everyday people that we need dramatic change. To do that, we need to be able to talk to people and explain to them why they are being held hostage in a life and an economy that doesn't serve them. But it's also useful to understand the political elite and what motivates them. This was a really long chat, and this is a very different video to the other vlogs I've made. I hope you're finding it interesting, and I hope that people feel comfortable to like share your thoughts and musings in the comments with me. Tell me I'm wrong, or tell me that you have a different perspective. Today I'm gonna stop at the Palestine rally in the city. After that, I'm going to a dance rehearsal, and then I have a meeting in the evening. So today I'm out and about, and then tomorrow uni starts again.
consent. It's newfound oxygen. Newfound oxygen. Truth and altitude appeal. Feel me if I come back a little undone. I'm ready for a hard landing if it gets me home. Come right in, you're welcome anytime. There's enough for all of us to dine. Won't you stay? Newfound oxygen saved me. In the end, I know. So slowly down we go. I'm ready for a hard landing if it gets me home.
Abundance look like? Why are these things important? Why do they matter?
Hey, it's been a while. It's been an entire month. It's not been a great month. Uni has really kicked my butt. I haven't filmed the outro to this video and I just want to get it done. It's going to be kind of quick. But first, a few little updates. Yeah, you saw a few clips from the gathering that we had. It was really like beautiful being out there with some really awesome people and having like big conversations about the state of the world. And so yeah, some of the ideas from technofeudalism did like come up. Where we left off, the 5th chapter was trying to explain again why technofeudalism is like a very different system to capitalism, and why this term is relevant. And I think it boils down to the fact that the system is driven by rent instead of profit. And chapter 6 was also really interesting, and this is about the like global impact and looking a lot at China. Their kind of cloud capital systems, like their algorithms and tech companies, are much more intertwined, and like especially they're linked to government, so it kind of has a different flavor to it. And that China is trying to make like a type of cloud finance or digital currency that can be a competitor to the US dollar. That's sort of the heart of this new Cold War. I'm just going to finish with like my takeaways about all of this. We need economic systems that work for people. I think there's a lot of questions about what that looks like donut economics or like less is more degrowth. Like there are some books like that. I think also just like some Marxist books probably would have good questions and discussions about that, about economics. I think that point about global politics and China versus the US on the basis of like currencies or finance and cloud capital, I think that's something to watch basically, and I think this gives me a bit more of a lens to watch it with. And then the other big conversation from this was the impact of algorithms on people's agency and like how we communicate and relate to each other and how we form our political identities. I think those are really important questions, and those are the ones that feel a lot more real and tangible to me. Yeah, I'm really curious if like any of those 3 big conversations about like global politics or about financial systems and economic systems, or the kind of impact politically and socially and almost psychologically of algorithms and social media. Like, do you have thoughts on those 3 topics? Have you read other things on those 3 topics that you would recommend, or that you have thoughts about? To sum up, like how I feel about this book overall, I think it was kind of a tough one. Like, I think it has been a bit difficult to like fully understand and draw meaning out of it. I forgot to mention that the like final chapter is him talking about some like alternatives or like, yeah, a vision of what a better world could look like. And it's actually based on an entire book that he wrote that's kind of doing that visioning. Honestly, I read it really fast and I didn't absorb a lot of it, and I do remember thinking it wasn't like that great or exactly what I was looking for, but it is still an important part of it, you know. You don't want to sit in the like uncertainty and confusion of something like this and be like, well, what do I do now? I can't do anything about it. I'm really interested in how we can build movements and like a public consciousness around these things. So that's all for this video. Thanks for joining me in this experiment of like a format for the vlogs. It was really fun to make. I think it's just going to be tricky, like balancing what I find interesting talking about and what you guys want to listen to. I hope you're taking care of yourself and others and staying engaged with what's happening in the world. I'll see you in my next video, whenever that is. Bye.